Okay, so what we have here is a factory turbo motor out of an FX Falcon, the last of the Australian-made Falcons. This was heavily modified by the previous owner, low K thing, but it's got a big dump pipe. We put a brand new, bigger turbo on it. It already had a bigger intercooler, all the big hoses, and high flow injectors. Now that requires a special tune, which we've already done as well. We're using all of the factory components, so things like factory gear shift, factory computer, factory drive-by-wire pedal. There's a number of other accessories with this: rear gearbox mount adapter, engine mount adapters, and the drive-by-wire pedal universal mount. So all of the things that are here are now ready to be fired up. We've plumbed the fuel into my car, so because it's got a BA Falcon pump in it. That way it just plugs straight into the pump, screws onto the fittings, ready to go. In the wiring harness we have a number of provisions. This is to be able to wire all the instruments in the dash. There's also an interface box that plugs in to make the tacho work. We have a number of accessory wires so that you can run a factory temperature gauge, oil pressure gauge. This is also wired so that it runs the factory fans out of a BA through to FX. This makes it really simple and really reliable as far as temperature control. It's going into an XY Falcon utility, so consequently this is the best swap. It also has an additional wire in the harness to be able to trigger the vintage air system that the customer's going to use. We have one other unique thing, an interface that bolts onto the back of the ZF, so you can run a slip joint two-piece tail shaft. And now we're going to fire it up. Now, just before you fire it, I'm just going to mention something. Essentially, there's only 3 wires to be connected now to actually make the engine run. If you just look at this plug down here, that's it. So we've wired it to a independent ignition switch and starter button. So fire it up, Ben. So this is a package we can offer you: engine mounts, suspension, steering, brakes. One other unique feature was the sump pan. To fit in an Australian early Falcon chassis or American chassis, it requires a front sump, oil pickup and dipstick. We use that off of a BA on this motor, and that requires some modifications for the oil return drain from the turbo and replumbing the dipstick. So it's a completely different configuration. Now this motor is ready to go into XK all the way through to XP, XR all the way through to XF, all of the Mustangs, and you've got yourself a killer motor. This, with these extra mods, is good for at least 350 kilowatts. That's it.